attracted the opposite sex like that at first sight. "I beg your pardon?" said Sam absently. "What a dreadful looking man! He quite frightened me." For some moments Sam sat without speaking. If this had not been one of his Napoleonic mornings, no doubt the sudden arrival of his old friend, Mr. Peters, whom he had imagined at his home in Putney, packing for his trip to America, would have suggested nothing to him. As it was, it suggested a great deal. He had had a brain wave, and for fully a minute he sat tingling under its impact. He was not a young man who often had brain waves, and when they came they made him rather dizzy. "Who is he?" asked Billy. "He seems to know you." "And who," she demanded after a slight pause, "is Miss Milliken?" Sam drew a deep breath. "It's rather a sad story," he said. "His name is John Peters. He used to be clerk here." "But isn't he any longer?" "No." Sam shook his head. "We had to get rid of him." "I don't wonder, a man looking like that." "It wasn't that so much," said Sam. "The thing that annoyed father was that he tried to shoot Miss Milliken." Billy uttered a cry of horror. "He tried to shoot Miss Milliken?" "He did shoot her the third time," said Sam, warming to his work. "Only in the arm, fortunately," he added. "But my father is rather a stern disciplinarian, and he had to go. I mean, we couldn't keep him after that. Good gracious! She used to be my father's stenographer, and she was thrown a good deal with Peters. It was quite natural that he should fall in love with her. She was a beautiful girl with rather your own shade of hair. Peters is a man of volcanic passions, and when, after she had given him to understand that his love was returned, she informed him one day that she was engaged to a fellow at Ealing West, he went right off his onion. I mean, he became completely distraught. I must say that he concealed it very effectively at first. We had no inkling of his condition till he came in with the pistol, and after that, well, as I say, we had to dismiss him. Great pity, for he was a good clerk. Still, it wouldn't do. It wasn't only that he tried to shoot Miss Milliken. That wouldn't have mattered as much, as she left after his third attempt and got married. But the thing became an obsession with him, and we found that he had a fixed idea that every red-haired woman who came into the office was the girl who had deceived him. You can see how awkward that made it. Red hair is so fashionable nowadays. "My hair is red," whispered Billy pallidly. "Yes, I noticed it myself. I told you it was much the same shade as Miss Milliken's. It's rather fortunate that I happened to be here with you when he came." "But he may be lurking out there still." "I expect he is," said Sam carelessly. "Yes, I suppose he is. Would you like me to go and send him away?" "All right." But is it safe?" Sam uttered a light laugh. "I don't mind taking a risk or two for your sake," he said, and sauntered from the room, closing the door behind him. Billy followed him with worshipping eyes. Jno. Peters rose politely from the chair in which he had seated himself for more comfortable perusal of the copy of Home Whispers which he had brought with him to refresh his mind in the event of the firm being too busy to see him immediately. He was particularly interested in the series of chats with young mothers. "Hello, Peters," said Sam. "Want anything?" "Very sorry to have disturbed you, Mr. Samuel. I just looked in to say good-bye. I sail on Saturday, and my time will be pretty fully taken up all the week. I have to go down to the country to get some final instructions from the client whose important papers I'm taking over. I'm sorry to have missed your father, Mr. Samuel." "Yes, this is his golf day. I'll tell him you looked in. Is there anything I can do before I go?" "Do? Well," Jno. Peters coughed tactfully. "I see that you are engaged with a client, Mr. Samuel, and I was wondering if any little point of law had arisen with which you did not feel yourself quite capable of coping. In that case, I might perhaps be of assistance." "Oh, that lady," said Sam. "That is Miss Milliken's sister." "Indeed? I did not know Miss Milliken had a sister." "No?" said Sam. "She's not very like her in appearance." "No. This one is the beauty of the family, I believe, and very bright, intelligent girl. I was telling her about your revolver just before you came in. She was most interested. It's a pity you haven't got it with you now to show her." "Oh, but I have, Mr. Samuel," said Peters, opening a small handbag and taking out a hymn book, half a pound of mixed chocolates, a tongue sandwich, and the pistol in the order named. I was on my way to the Rupert Street range for a little practice. I should be glad to show it to her." "Well, wait here a minute or two," said Sam. "I'll have finished talking business in a moment." He returned to the inner office. "Well?" cried Billy. "Eh? Oh, he's gone," said Sam. "I persuaded him to go away. He was a little excited, poor fellow. And now let us return to what we were talking about. You say," he broke off with an exclamation, glanced at his watch. "Good heavens! I had no idea of the time. I promised to run up and see a man in one of the offices in the next court. He wants to consult me on some difficulty which has arisen with one of his clients. Rightly or wrongly, he values my advice. Can you spare me for a short while? I shan't be more than 10 minutes." "Certainly." "Here is something you may care to look at while I'm gone. I don't know if you've read it. Widgery on Nisi Prius evidence. Most interesting." He went out. Jno. Peters looked up from his Home Whispers. "You can go in now," said Sam. "Certainly, Mr. Samuel, certainly." Sam took up the copy of Home Whispers and sat down with his feet on the desk. He turned to the serial story and began to read the synopsis. In the inner room, Billy, who had rejected the mental refreshment offered by Widgery, was engaged in making a tour of the office, looking at the portraits of whiskered men whom she took correctly to be the Thorpes, Prescotts, Winslows, and Applebys mentioned on the contents bill outside. Was surprised to hear the door open at her back. She had not expected Sam to return so instantaneously. Nor had he done so. It was not Sam who entered. It was a man of repellent aspect whom she recognized instantly. For Jno. Peters was one of those men who, once seen, are not easily forgotten. He was smiling, a cruel, cunning smile. At least she thought he was. Mr. Peters himself was under the impression that his face was wreathed in a benevolent simper, and in his hand he bore the largest pistol ever seen outside a motion picture studio. "How do you do, Miss Milliken?" he said. End of Chapter 11. Recording by Tim Bulkley of BigBible.org.